I dare you to listen to this story till the end, because what happened to the Everest Ridge expedition was not a storm. It was something far older, something that should have stayed buried. It began with 5 climbers, each chasing their own reason to reach the impossible. Dr. Isaac Moore, an English geologist of 38, believed that Himalayas hid a secret older than mankind. Anna Field, the expedition leader, had conquered every peak worth naming, but this one was different. It was not on any official map. Locals called it Rudihir Parvat, the Crimson Peak, a jagged wall of ice northeast of Everest. Every map marked it with a blank space, and every guide refused to go near it. Their base camp stood at 16,000 feet, surrounded by wind that howled like a living thing. The team had 2 Sherpas, Dorj and Nima. Both were quiet and wary, crossing themselves each night as the wind grew louder. By the 3rd day, Dorj refused to go any higher. "There are voices up there," he said, "whispers when the wind stops." Isaac laughed, dismissing it as superstition. Yet that night, while reviewing seismic readings, he noticed something strange. The instruments flickered with a rhythmic vibration. Every 30 minutes, the same low pulse came through the ice, deep and steady like a heartbeat. Anna leaned over the data. Could it be tectonic movement? Isaac hesitated. Maybe. But it's too consistent. Dorj stood silently nearby. "That is not the Earth. That is something calling." By the 5th day, they began the ascent. The world turned white. Sky, ground, horizon, all melded into one endless blur of frozen air. The higher they climbed, the quieter the world became. There were no birds, no avalanches, not even the sound of wind. It was Nima who first noticed the carvings. Strange symbols etched into the exposed stone, spiraling downward like veins. They were not Sanskrit or Tibetan, not any language known to man. Each mark curved inward, as if drawn toward a single point deep beneath the surface. Anna studied them closely. Could this be glacial pressure carving patterns? Isaac shook his head. No. Someone made these, someone very long ago. That night, as they camped at 21,000 feet, the storm came suddenly. Snow swallowed their tents in minutes. The wind roared with a sound that was not natural. Through the chaos, Isaac thought he heard something beneath it all, a whisper clear and cold that said, "Leave us buried." He tore open his tent, but there was only the storm. By morning, it was over as suddenly as it began. The camp stood half buried, and Dorj was missing. His rope led toward a nearby crevasse. At its edge, in the frost, were footprints, bare human footprints, deep in the snow, leading down into the darkness. Anna stared in disbelief. No one could survive down there. Isaac knelt beside the opening, his breath trembling in the cold. At the bottom, faint light shimmered in the ice. It pulsed with the same rhythm as their instruments. They decided to descend, not because it was safe, but because curiosity was stronger than fear. The shaft dropped nearly 20 meters into a cavern that felt older than the mountain itself. Frozen pillars twisted upward like ribs, and in the center stood a wall of clear blue ice. Behind it, something was trapped. Anna brushed frost from the surface. What she saw made her step back. A human shape lay inside the ice, perfectly preserved. Yet its body was wrong. Limbs too long, hands too wide, a mouth sealed with black resin. The face was blank, but aware. Isaac's voice broke the silence. "This isn't a fossil. This is a burial." The pulse struck again, so powerful it shook the cavern. Cracks spread through the wall. The figure's eyes opened. Anna screamed as the cave rumbled. The ice shattered around them, and they climbed the rope as shards rained down. The air was filled with a deep vibration that felt alive. When they reached the surface, the world had changed. The slope beneath them was shifting. The snow rippled as if breathing. The pulse came faster now, echoing through the wind. Isaac clutched his head, falling to his knees. "It's in the rock!" he gasped. "It's awake." Anna turned toward the crevasse. Faint red light was rising from the opening, pulsing like a living heart. They turned to run. Behind them, the ice split open with a sound like the world tearing apart. That was the last time anyone saw the sun on Rudir Parvir. What came out of the mountain was not a storm. It was something ancient, something that had waited beneath the ice for someone foolish enough to set it free. The storm that followed the awakening was not made of wind or snow. It was made of sound. Isaac, Anna, and Nima crawled through the whiteout, half blind, clutching the rope that linked them together. The mountain groaned beneath their feet like a wounded animal. Every few seconds, the snow vibrated, humming with that same deep pulse. When they finally reached the upper ridge, their camp was gone. Only torn fabric and scattered supplies marked where they had slept. The radio equipment was buried, but miraculously, the antenna still stood upright. Coated in frost, Anna dropped to her knees, clearing snow from the controls. "Help me find the battery," she shouted. Isaac dug frantically, his fingers numb. Nima stood frozen, staring at the horizon. "What is it?" Anna yelled over the wind. Nima pointed. Far below, in the White Valley, figures were moving dozens of them. They walked slowly, silently, in perfect unison. Isaac squinted. Those can't be people. No one could survive out there without gear. Anna followed his gaze. The shapes were getting closer. Too close. Each step they took was in rhythm with the mountain's pulse. "Get the radio working?" she said. Her voice was trembling. Isaac connected the wires. The static screamed through the headset. He turned the dial, searching for any frequency that wasn't consumed by the storm. "Base camp, this is Ridge Team. Do you copy?" "Nothing. Just static." He tried again. "Base camp, respond. We've lost George. There's something wrong with the mountain. Repeat. Something is here." The static changed. For a moment, it almost sounded like words. Then a voice came through, faint, distant, and wrong. "Leave us buried." Isaac dropped the headset. His face went pale. Anna snatched it up. "Who is this? Identify yourself." No answer. Only that pulse. Louder now. Then the radio emitted a long, low tone that made the air shake. The snow around them shifted. The antenna bent, as if under pressure. Nima screamed. The valley below was no longer empty. The figures were closer now, maybe 100 meters away. Their faces were white as bone, eyes black and hollow. Anna grabbed Isaac's arm. "Run!" They stumbled upward, toward the upper slope. The mountain was breaking apart behind them. The wind didn't howl anymore. It spoke. It repeated the same phrase, each time louder. "Leave us buried." Nima tripped and fell. His scream vanished in the snow as something pulled him down. When Anna turned back, he was gone. No tracks, no blood, just smooth, untouched snow where he had been. Isaac pulled her forward. "We need higher ground." They climbed until they reached a cliff face, a sheer wall of ice that shimmered faintly from within. Inside it, faint outlines moved, human shapes pressed into the frozen wall, shifting slowly as though trying to escape. Anna's voice cracked. "Those are people." The shapes turned their heads toward her, their mouths opened, wide and silent. The ice shattered. They fell back as the wall exploded into fragments. A wave of freezing mist rolled over them, and from within the mist came whispers, thousands of voices speaking at once. The sound crawled into their minds. Isaac dropped to his knees, hands over his ears. "It's not sound. It's inside my head." Anna tried to pull him up, but his eyes rolled back. The pulse matched the beat of his heart. Then he stopped breathing. She dragged him into a nearby ice tunnel, her breath fogging the air. Behind her, the mist reformed into shapes, tall, featureless silhouettes, moving without sound. At the end of the tunnel, she found a narrow cave, sheltered from the wind. She laid Isaac down, shaking uncontrollably. His skin was blue, His eyes were open, but he didn't move. She reached for the radio again. Static filled the chamber. Then a voice answered. "On a field," it said. "You shouldn't have come here." She froze. "Who is this?" The voice was calm, measured, almost human. "You freed us." The signal cut off. Then the heartbeat stopped. The mountain fell silent. Anna looked toward the mouth of the cave. Outside, the storm was gone. The world was perfectly still. She stepped forward. Every footprint she left filled in behind her, as if the mountain was swallowing her steps. In the valley below, a faint light glowed from the ice fissure where they had found the body. The same rhythm, the same pulse. The silence broke. It wasn't a storm that woke on the mountain. It was something waiting for a voice to answer back. Anna had not spoken in hours. The cave was a prison of blue light and frozen air. Isaac's body lay still beside her, his face pale and peaceful, as if asleep. The radio was silent now, its battery drained. She had tried shouting into it, begging for any response. But the mountain swallowed every word. Outside, the world looked unchanged. Endless white, distant peaks, the sky flat and gray. Yet something was different. The silence had weight. It pressed against her chest with every breath. She forced herself to move. She could not stay in the cave. She packed what was left of their gear and slung Isaac's notebook over her shoulder. Inside it were sketches of the carvings and fragments of strange writing. She stepped outside. The snow beneath her boots was smooth, untouched. Her previous tracks were gone. For a moment, she thought she saw figures watching her from the ridge above, shadows that disappeared when she blinked. The pulse returned, soft and echoing from deep within the ice. Anna walked. Every step echoed back, as if something beneath her feet were imitating her movements. The mountain felt alive, its rhythm following her heartbeat. By midday, she reached the old ridge, where their base camp had once been. The storm had buried everything. Only a single object remained above the snow, a black piece of stone, carved with the same spiral symbols. It pulsed faintly, with light. She crouched beside it. The air vibrated when she touched it. Her vision flickered. The world shifted for a second, and she was no longer on the ridge. She stood inside a massive cavern of ice, illuminated by light from beneath the floor. The walls were carved with scenes, not of men, but of tall, thin beings kneeling before the mountain. In their hands they held hearts made of stone. A voice spoke behind her. "Do you understand now?" Anna spun around. Isaac stood there, alive, though his eyes glowed faintly blue. His breath didn't fog in the cold. "You're dead," she whispered. He tilted his head. "Not dead. Remember what we found? The thing in the ice. It wasn't a body. It was a door." Anna stepped back. "What are you?" Isaac's voice deepened. "The mountain was a seal. We were its key." The cavern trembled. The light beneath the ice pulsed brighter. The figures carved on the walls seemed to move, their hands rising in worship. "You freed them," Isaac said, "and now they want what was taken." Anna tried to run, but the ground split open. The light burst upward, blinding her. She found herself back on the ridge, gasping. The stone tablet lay in front of her, cracked open. Inside it, something moved. A thin stream of black mist twisting upward like smoke. The mist wrapped around her wrist. Her skin burned. She screamed, tearing herself free, but the mark remained a spiral carved into her flesh. The pulse quickened. The sky darkened. Far across the ridge, the snow lifted into the air, swirling into shapes. Human at first, then distorted, taller, faceless. The wind spoke in hundreds of overlapping whispers. Anna fell to her knees. The voice of the mountain filled her mind. "We were buried before your kind could speak. You broke the seal. You are ours." She clutched Isaac's notebook, flipping to a page where he had drawn the spiral symbols. Beneath him, in his handwriting, were words she didn't remember him writing. They hear through rhythm, Stop the pulse. She tore a strip from her jacket and tied it around her bleeding wrist. If the pulse was alive, it had to have a source. Anna began to climb higher, toward the summit. The air thinned. The wind carried voices that weren't her own, whispering her name. She pushed through the storm until she reached a flat plateau. There, half buried in the snow, stood a black spire of ice, stretching into the clouds. Its surface shimmered with veins of red light. The mountain's heart. Anna approached it, each step harder than the last. The ground pulsed beneath her, shaking with life. When she reached the spire, she could see faint shapes moving inside it. The same elongated figure she had seen in the carvings. She pressed her hand to the ice. The mark on her wrist burned brighter. The mountain spoke again. "Become what you woke." Anna screamed and slammed Isaac's metal ice pick into the spire. Cracks spread outward in every direction. The pulse stuttered, then grew frantic. The wind roared, carrying voices of rage and sorrow. The spire exploded in light. Anna was thrown backward into the snow. For a moment, everything went silent. She looked up. The sky was no longer gray. It was red, glowing from within the clouds. The entire mountain vibrated, a deep groaning sound like breath after centuries of sleep. Isaac appeared again beside her. His expression was empty, his voice calm. He stopped the signal. "But you can't stop them. The mountain remembers its name now." He reached out his hand. The ground beneath her feet split open. Light poured through the cracks. Anna's scream vanished into the wind. Then there was only stillness. From far above, the peak of Rudhir Parvat glowed faintly red, as if something beneath the ice had opened its eyes. When rescue teams finally arrived on the 12th day, the mountain was unrecognizable. The summit had split into two jagged peaks, and the snowfields below were burned black, as if fire had risen from within the ice. The team leader, Captain Edward Hawley, stood in silence at the edge of the ridge. He had seen avalanches and storms before, but never a mountain that looked like it had breathed. The only sign of life was a single tent, half buried in snow. Inside it lay Isaac's notebook and a camera that still worked. The last photograph showed Anna standing at the base of the black spire, her face pale and her eyes glowing faint blue. There were no footprints leading away, only the faint spiral patterns carved into the snow. The men recovered what they could and left before nightfall. The temperature dropped too fast. The wind carried sounds that made the Sherpas refuse to stay. At the base station, Captain Hale studied the notebook. Most pages were destroyed, smeared with water and blood, but one remained untouched. The handwriting was Anna's. It read, "The mountain is alive. It dreams beneath the ice. If you hear the pulse, do not answer it." That night, Hale placed the notebook on the table beside the radio. The wind outside rose to a steady hum. The station lights flickered. He heard it then, the same low pulse that Isaac had recorded, a vibration that seemed to come from the floor itself. The radio clicked on by itself. Static filled the room. Then a voice spoke softly through the noise. "Captain Hale." He froze. "Who is this?" Anna Field. Hale's hand shook as he lifted the microphone. "Anna, we thought you were dead." "Where are you?" There was a pause. The voice that answered was calm and distant. "I'm still here. You shouldn't have come." The static deepened until it felt like thunder. The lights went out. Outside, the wind began to roar, circling the camp. Hale grabbed a lantern and stepped outside. The snow around the base had turned red, glowing faintly under the moonlight. Something stood at the edge of the storm, a figure, tall and still, its face covered in frost. It looked like Anna, but her skin was translucent, her eyes burning with cold light. She spoke without moving her lips. "They are awake now. The seal is gone." The wind screamed behind her. The ground cracked open, and red light bled through the snow. The mountain pulse returned, slow and heavy, like a heart restarting after centuries of silence. Hale stumbled backward, shouting for his men, but the storm drowned his voice. One by one, the tent collapsed. The air shimmered with heat and ice at once. Through the blinding snow, Halai saw faces forming in the wind, the same hollow-eyed figures described in the logs. They surrounded the camp, their movements in perfect rhythm with the pulse. He ran for the radio, his boots sinking into the glowing snow. He sent one final transmission. To base command, "This is Captain Halai. Do not send anyone here. The mountain is the recording cutoff." Weeks later, another team found the base station abandoned. No bogies, no footprints, only the same spiral symbols carved into the metal walls. The government closed the area and removed it from all maps. The official report blamed an avalanche. Locals still called the place Rudhe Parvit. They say the mountain hums when the wind stops, and that if you listen closely, you can still hear voices calling through the snow, asking to be left buried. And on quiet nights, when the air is cold enough to freeze breath in mid, some claim they can see a faint red glow above the peaks, as if something beneath the ice is still alive. Thanks for watching this far. Subscribe to the channel, Tale Vibes, for more videos.